So before this whole canvassing program thing started, I'd actually been praying that God would open an opportunity for me to go canvassing if it was His will. And there was actually like 3 different options, and one of them was canvassing. And so I was just praying. I was like, God, I need to know what I'm going to do. I need to stop wasting time here, so I'm going to give you 1 week. And in 1 week, I want you to tell me what I should do. So that very Sabbath, I was sitting in Sabbath school, and Pastor Brody announces that there's going to be a canvassing program this week. And that was just like, I was so excited because that was very much a direct answer to prayer.
So when I first heard about the canvassing program, I was so excited because I had never done door-to-door activities and this was really amazing that I could actually do this. So I was very excited. I had some thoughts going like, will I say my canvas right? Will people accept what I'm telling them? And so I was encouraged by the words of Matthew 10, which just talks about He'll give us the right words to say. So I trusted on that, and I knew I would say the right words at every door.
So the first doors we knocked on, I was kind of nervous because I thought I would mess up and stumble through my canvas, but I think God helped me to say words right, and He just guided me through it.
So the first week into the canvassing adventure, I was very discouraged. I was getting donations, but I wasn't getting any books out. And on into the second week, I was praying and praying and praying that the Lord would give me doors that would open, that would receive books. And so I was dropped off with my brother, and there was 2 houses where no one came to the door, and so I started getting even more discouraged. And then someone gave me a donation, and I said, praise the Lord, and I was just praying for books to go out. So down at the end of the street, this lady came to the door, and she listened to the whole canvas, and she seemed very interested in the cookbook. And she went and got me a donation, and I gave her another book, and she went back into the house for another donation, and she really wanted to help me out. And so then when she saw the second book, she said, well, is this book for me? And I had handed her The Great Controversy, but then she said, my husband died last week, and it just doesn't seem like there's hope. And immediately I pulled out Peace Above the Storm, and I said, this is the book for you. I've read it. It's changed my life. And she was so excited. I could just see it in her face. Her face lit up. And she took both books and put them in her arms, and then I asked if I could pray for her, and she said yes, she wanted prayer. And after that, I saw that there were tears in her eyes, and I was just praising the Lord.
So one door we went to a door that was a middle-class house, not a really rich place or a really poor place. And before we knock on the door, the woman comes out. She's pretty rude. She's using not too nice language. She's not being polite at all. She's pretty pessimistic. I canvass her. I'm not expecting anything here, and I'm canvassing her on GC, on the cookbook, I think, and I canvass her on Peace Above the Storm, Steps to Christ. And I'm talking about how it gives you peace from worry, freedom from guilt, all this type of stuff, and she totally changes. She's suddenly like, I like this. I'm interested, and she somehow seems much more interested, and she becomes much less aggressive. She's much more open now. And I ask for her, can I pray for you? And she says, yes, I can pray. And I pray for her. I pray for her prayer request, which was for the whole situation of COVID-19 and all. And after I finished praying, she was crying. And I didn't expect that at all. So it was just really interesting to see how somebody could go from being so rude to crying at the end. And that really touched me.
I was going out and I was kind of discouraged because everyone around me was getting a lot of books out, but I wasn't getting any. I got 3 books and tons of donations, but no books out. So I prayed and asked God to actually let me sell all the books that I had in my hand. It was only 3, but it was still a good amount for me. So I came to one door, just 7 doors after I prayed, and the person actually took all the books and gave a really nice donation. So that was a really good experience.
So one of my big goals canvassing was to get The Great Controversy out, because that's, of all the books that we were canvassing, that was definitely the one I wanted to get out. So I worked super hard on that one, and that was like the one that I always went to if they wanted a book. Sometimes they would ask me to pick one for them. That was the one I went to. And so I've been telling people this. I actually did this one for a history course one year because I did. And so there was this one family. I knocked on the doors the very last day, and I was asking God, just give me something special to end the day. And so I knocked on this door, and a little girl opens the door, and the mom's in the kitchen cooking, and they told me to come inside. So I come inside. I was feeling a little awkward. And then she comes to the door, super nice family, and she ended up telling me that that was their Sabbath. It was Sunday, but she couldn't buy any books because it was their Sabbath. I said, oh, that's really neat because I actually keep my Sabbath, which is on Saturday, in the same way that you keep your Sunday. And I said, so we have something in common there, so that's neat. And I told her she was so interested in the Great Controversy when I told her that I did it for a history course. And I asked her if her girls were homeschooling because they kind of, they seem like they may be homeschooling kind of people. And they said they're actually going that route. And I said, really? I did that too. And I told her how I did it for a history course. And she said, you know what? I think we should do that too. And so she bought the Great Controversy on the basis that she could pay the next day. And so I left it with her. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it with you. I'll come back and get the pay tomorrow. And she said that they're actually going to do that for a history course. So I'm super excited about that because that's going to not only be a great history course for her girls, but she's so devoted and so wanting to serve God that I believe she's really open for the truth. And when she hears the truth about the real Sabbath day, I believe that she's going to wholeheartedly accept it.
So there was one time I was going with my friend Josiah. He's about 10 years old. And as we were going door to door and knocking, a lot of people were saying no and a lot of people weren't opening up doors. But you could tell Josiah was getting discouraged and I was getting a little discouraged too. So we decided to pray before going to the next houses and ask God to bless us as we continue to go. And the next 3 or 4 houses, they all opened up and either gave a donation or bought a book. Some of the benefits I received from doing the canvassing program was that I was able to face rejection and know how to keep on going and have courage. And also I was deepen my walk with God and be able to have more things, different ways to get His word out to others. So I was going down this one street and I came to this big house. And at the front door there was a ramp that looked newly put in and it went all the way up to the door. And I knocked again and the guy came to the door and he was kind of quiet and I gave him my canvas and then he said, well, we're not interested because I had to just put in this ramp because my wife can't walk anymore. So I said, could I pray with you? So I prayed with him and he was very thankful that for the prayers for his wife, and I gave him one of the story of hope, so hopefully it touches his heart.
I prayed and then that I could get all message books out, and we went to one door and the guy opened the door and he didn't look like he was interested, so I canvassed him and he stopped me in the middle of a piece of the storm canvas and he said, let me go inside. So he went inside and got a donation. He came back and said, what can I get with $60? So he got out the Great Controversy, Peace Above the Storm, They Call Him Jesus, and Habits That Heal.
So one day we were canvassing and I went down this one street and we were at the end of the street. It was the house at the end of the street and I knocked on the door and this lady comes to the door. She tells, I tell her my canvas and she listens, and at the end she told me that it was a good thing that I was doing, but she couldn't help at that time and she didn't want a book. So we were heading around the corner to the next bunch of houses and we were starting and we were at house number 2 and this man comes walking around the corner towards us and what we figured out was the lady had told her husband that what I had said and what she had said, and he said that they weren't that bad off, and even though his job was cut down to part-time, they could still donate. So he donated, and we were able to give him The Great Controversy and A Story of Hope.
We came to this one house, and it was a fairly nice house, and this guy was really nice, and he was like talking and everything. And so finally he decides that he wants some books, and well, like kind of how they cost $30 or $40 or $50 or something, right?
Yeah.
So he came out with $100 bill, and he handed the $100 bill to us, and then he bought some books.
Yeah. He wanted the cookbook and Great Controversy, but he had looked carefully at all the books, and so and talked a little bit about the they call him Jesus, the Desire of Ages, and seemed interested in that, but that wasn't one he asked for. But when I saw his donation, I said, "Here, you need to read this one too," and so he took it and was happy to do that.
Canvassing is really simple. You don't have to wait until a canvassing group or a church. You can do it on your own and get some books and go out door to door, and God will truly bless you.
If there was a church considering but not yet sure if they wanted to go ahead with canvassing, I would tell them to definitely go ahead with it, because it just benefits you as a person. You get closer to God, and also there's some things like business skills, you get better at them.
So if any of you are willing or looking forward to canvassing, I recommend that you do, because it's a blessing, and people out there are looking wistfully to go to heaven. So it's a good opportunity to go share about God with them.
I feel like God has made me a little braver and stronger as a witness for Him.
I would truly recommend canvassing. It's a great experience, and you grow closer in your walk with Christ.
So I'd like to encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone, to share hope with someone today that will make an impact for eternity.
If these testimonies have inspired you to maybe start a canvassing group in your own church, I would say go for it, and here's why. In Matthew 24:14 it says, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come." Not might come, not could come, it shall come. And that's the reason why I would say go for it. It's because once we have gotten the gospel out to all the world, then Jesus can come and end all the sin and suffering.